How do I figure out what's next in my career? How do I align my work with what truly matters to me? And the biggest question of all, can I really design a career that I love? Hey, my name is Jen Smith, and I believe career success doesn't have to come at the expense of living a radiantly happy and healthy lifestyle. As a former HR leader and recruiter turned career coach, I've seen how traditional paths can leave people burned out or boxed in. And I know there's a better way, one that invites you to let go of outdated rules and outside expectations, one that evolves and supports meaningful growth over time. Whether you're feeling stuck, craving more clarity, or ready to expand within your current role and beyond, this show is for you. So grab your coffee or your kombucha, pull up a seat, and get ready to explore practical, modern strategies for building a meaningful, heart-based career. Because you deserve a long, radiantly happy, and healthy career. This is the Flourish Careers Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Flourish Careers Podcast. I'm Jen Smith, your host, and today we are wrapping up season 10. I can't believe we're already here wrapping up another season. I've spent some time reflecting on the conversations, and this season has just been filled with warm, wise, heart-centered stories. There were conversations around authenticity, abundance, mindset, leadership, creativity, and heart-based, meaningful career change. And it was really interesting. As I looked back at all of these episodes, I noticed a theme. Nearly every single guest described some version of ritual, which is what we're going to talk about today. Now, each of these guests might not have actually used the word ritual, but the essence was there. It was a tiny practice that kept them grounded, or a small routine that helped them tune back into themselves, or a daily rhythm that carried them through seasons of uncertainty and reinvention. So it only felt fitting that we close the season with something that's really been a North Star in my own life and my own career, and something I love helping clients build into their careers, which is rituals, and how they help you prioritize yourself and your work in a way that feels grounded, meaningful, and aligned. But before we get into that, let's take a moment and celebrate all of the guests from our Flourishing Together series this season. Now, I don't say this lightly, but having guests on every episode this season became one of the greatest joys of podcasting. When you get to sit down with thoughtful, generous, interesting humans and hear their stories, something just changes inside. Listening becomes this grounding ritual in itself. It's a moment where we get to connect and learn and reflect and hopefully feel a little less alone. So I just had so much fun getting to know each of these guests this season. So as a recap, we kicked off with a practical and empowering episode with Jenna Dene and talked about how to discern company culture and also creative ways to land the interview. Jenna is down to earth and no nonsense when it comes to career planning. Then we explored writing as a career catalyst with three-time guest Yolanda Owens. And this is just one of those conversations that helps us open up and quietly shift if we're thinking about writing as part of our career. Mark Carpenter taught us the 3 essential skills of memorable leaders. So anyone who's interested in becoming a people leader, this is an excellent episode to tune into. Michelle Schaefer joined us for why success in your job search starts with your mindset. Her insights reinforce that career momentum starts internally through rituals that support resilience and clarity and confidence inside of us. Then we rewrote our money stories with Linda Grizzly, which was a powerful conversation about identity and worth and money. Stephanie Zhang shared a new way to measure success. Her aliveness scale redefined success as feeling energized and present and alive, which is really a ritual-like check-in to measure what really matters in this season of life and career. We talked about positive career conversations with Jackie Stavros and Sherry Torres, dove into another kind of AI, appreciative inquiry, and how to create more possibility in your work and your career through better conversations. Then we talked about why waiting to feel quote unquote ready holds you back with Dr. Casey Lacey, which was such a fun and lighthearted conversation. Casey reminded us that readiness is often a myth, and what we really need is willingness to take a deep breath and take one tiny step forward. We moved into the secret to living and working authentically with Jackie Boone. This conversation introduced the loveliest idea of heart language, that inner truth that guides you when you're quiet and you slow down just enough to hear it. Corbin Chase shared heartfelt stories about reconnecting with her authentic self through intuition. And then last week, we wrapped up with Brianna Ottoboni exploring the quiet comeback of skilled trades, the rise of modern craftsmanship, which I think is such a critical topic in today's world. She also shared some lovely rituals that support spaciousness and creativity. So looking back, this season was such a beautiful collection of both wisdom, stories, and practical guidance, which is what I always intend to do with the show. And that brings us to today's conversation. Rituals. Not as something big, grandiose, ceremonial, or time-consuming, but as simple, intentional acts that support both you and your career. Now, before we get into actionable ideas, I want to share a story about why rituals matter so deeply to me. There was a season in my career when I was completely underwater. And this was one of those defining moments that really made me realize that my time in the corporate world was complete, and it was time for me to move on and try something different in my career. So I wasn't just stressed. It wasn't just this busyness. It was this feeling of complete exhaustion and just being stretched so thin. I was always living in my mind like 2 steps ahead of myself, kind of bracing for the next task and the next email and the next deadline. It was a super demanding job all the time, and I put so much pressure on myself. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be prepared for everything. I wanted to anticipate everyone's needs before they even spoke them. And on the outside, I was high performing. On the inside, I was depleted. I worked early mornings, late nights. I was constantly tied to my work phone, refreshing my email every minute of the day, it felt like. I said yes to everything, and I thought pushing harder was the answer. But what I didn't realize was that I was slowly spiraling into complete burnout. And I'll never forget this moment that things started to shift. And so I was sitting in my car in the office parking lot, and I had the engine off. My hands were kind of like still gripping the steering wheel. And it was this like wave of dread that came over me. And it wasn't because I disliked the work, but it was because something somewhere along the way just had me completely disconnected from myself. I was fried. And in that moment, I didn't burst into tears or make any grand declarations, but something inside me said, I just can't keep doing this. Hey there, beloved listener. It's Jen here, and I'm popping in with a quick invitation just for you. I know how hard it can be to navigate your career, especially in a world of work that's constantly changing. That's why I created The Gathering Ground. It's an insider circle for steady, heart-based support to help you grow with clarity, confidence, and community. Inside the Gathering Ground membership, you're invited to join us for weekly office hours to ask questions and stay grounded, exclusive pricing on one-on-one coaching, seasonal goal setting and reflection workshops. You'll receive a secret monthly newsletter with fresh tools and inspiration. There's a growing library of networking scripts, checklists, and career development tools designed to support you throughout your career. And best of all, a kind, generous community of professionals who just get it. So whether you're staying, shifting, or starting fresh, this is your space to be supported and stretched in the best way possible. It's just $97 to join, then $27 a month. Flexible, affordable, and no long-term commitment. To get started, head on over to flourish.careers/community and answer a few quick questions. Based on your responses, I'll send you a personalized development plan so you can begin right away with clear human support. No bots, no templates, just thoughtful guidance to move forward with confidence because you deserve a long, radiantly happy, and healthy career. I cannot wait to see you on the inside. Now, back to the episode. At the same time, I was convinced I didn't have time for a big change. I didn't have time for some meditation retreat or a morning routine with 15 different steps. I really barely was even breathing. So that's when I started with just a few minutes, 5 minutes, every single morning before the emails, before the meetings, before the pressure. I just wrote down 3 things I was grateful for. And I usually had one simple, believable post-it note affirmation on my computer. Some days that gratitude looked like, I'm grateful for this delicious iced coffee, or I'm grateful that my coworkers stepped in and helped, or I'm grateful that I had a chance to make a nice breakfast this morning. And most weeks, my affirmation, that post-it note on my computer, said 2 words, just breathe. But these tiny rituals literally became my lifeline. Now, they didn't fix the chaos around me, but they softened the chaos inside me. They helped to pull me out of autopilot. They helped me reconnect with my own inner rhythms. And eventually, they helped me reimagine an entirely new career and business built on intention, alignment, and heart. Rituals did not change my circumstances overnight, but they really did help me change my mindset and bring me into the present moment. And that is what changed everything. And this is why I believe so deeply in helping people create rituals that work for them. They help you take back ownership of your own energy, your own attention, and your own direction, one tiny moment at a time. And the folks in my beloved Flourish Careers community have seen this happen with folks that join us over and over again. So now let's talk a little bit about how rituals can support you in your career. Here's some benefits of rituals. Short term, they ground you in a given moment. They create calm. They can also sharpen your focus and just give you a little breathing room. Long term, they can anchor you in change. They help you build trust in yourself. They keep you off of autopilot, and they cultivate that gratitude and joy. When our brains are wired to see all the bad, which is a survival mechanism, having some type of ritual will help you cultivate gratitude and joy and just make every single day so much better. And really what these rituals intend to do in the long run is they help you prioritize yourself, your well-being, your life, and that's critically important no matter what, and especially when you're making a change. When you prioritize yourself, your career, your abundance, your lifestyle, everything inevitably follows that. So here's a few rituals that you might want to give a try. First, try some daily rituals. So I mentioned that gratitude. Literally, gratitude ritual changed my life. When people ask me, how did you start this business? How did you leave corporate? The first thing that comes to me is gratitude. And I know that it's talked about all over the place. It's almost just kind of one of these things we glance by when we see it on socials and things like that. But I am telling you, it is the thing that changed my life. So a tiny daily moment of gratitude. Maybe you light a candle to make that special. Maybe you decide that you just want to write a few sentences in your journal to get your head out of looping on something that you can't stop thinking about. Maybe you just take 3 deep breaths before opening your laptop or starting work for the day. Then think about weekly rituals. So these can be just kind of gentle check-ins, and think about what energized me this week or what drained me. Maybe you set an intention on Sunday or Monday morning just to say, hey, this week I really want to feel calm and grounded in my day-to-day. That will make a difference. Then think about higher level reflections, like a monthly ritual. You could set an intention for the month. I usually think of like a word or a feeling or a theme. I've heard people talk about an animal, like, hey, this month my animal is a snail and I'm going to slow down for the month. And so thinking about something to set the tone for the month, and maybe you every month revisit your goals with fresh eyes or have a mini celebration of something that went really well. These rituals turn kind of ordinary moments into meaningful ones, and they don't add a ton more to your plate. That's what's key for me is I don't have time to add all this extra stuff, hours of, meditations and going away for a weekend. I don't have time to add that to my plate, but I do have just a couple intentional moments daily, weekly, monthly, and seasonally for myself. Now, you all have heard me talk about my favorite ritual is 5 minutes to flourish. And maybe you've tried this yourself, but if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's super simple. It's one that supported me through every single major transition, and it's one that I return to again and again. I simply set 5 minutes on my timer on my phone, and I do one tiny thing for myself or for my career. This could be drafting an email that's been in the back of my mind, trying to think about how I want to revamp my LinkedIn profile, or creating something new. Maybe it's just doing a mind map for 5 minutes of something that's kind of looming in the background that I want to get out on paper. Returning to this 5 minutes time after time after time is what really starts getting that momentum. And it kind of tricks your brain too, because you're like, oh, only 5 minutes. I have time for that. And then you've prioritized yourself. You've prioritized your career and your life before you get into your day-to-day and anything else. And that 5 minutes can bloom into more. Some days, 5 minutes is all you have, and that's enough, and that's okay. Some days that 5 minutes turns into 10, 20, or even 30 minutes. Now, I have to mention, if you are craving some structure or guidance as you create your rituals and support your career, of course, I'm here to help. We have a beautiful community that is growing and would love to support you to create your rituals and create change in your career. And I'm so proud to say that the in-season planner is officially available. This was a father-daughter project, years in the making, that has all the structure of these guided rituals that will help you move through your next season with purpose and ease. Now, I have to say that I didn't design this planner because I couldn't find one that met my needs. There are a million planners out there. But I created this because I know what happens when you anchor your days in presence and meaningful rituals. It changes everything. So you can consider this your 3-month guide for meaningful reflection and intentional action. My hope is that the planner becomes a tool that helps you show up daily for yourself, take aligned action toward your heart-based aspirations. It's beautiful, it's intentional, and it's deeply supportive. Kind of like a companion I wish I had during all those tumultuous times in my career. So as we wrap up here, in terms of what's next, my friends, I'm going to be taking my own advice and taking a short restorative break. This is a ritual I try to honor every year, is taking a few weeks at the end of the year, beginning of the new year, and just to kind of breathe and map out what's next. So I'll be back probably mid-January with a new series to kick off the year. So for now, I wish you a restful, magical holiday season. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, the detailed notes are on the blog at flourish.careers/blog. Talk to you next time.